everyone, my name's Evie and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back playing Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. Last time we were here, we had started investigating the murder of Professor Bellwether. We are looking for clues to show that Wallace is in fact innocent because he was locked down in the library with us. Well, first he was locked down in study time and then he was actually locked down with us, so there was not really much of a chance for him to get out and get back in, you know, and commit a murder in all of that time. But we shall see how it goes today. So without further ado, let's jump on in. Alright, it's time for the trial. Just take deep breaths and relax. Hi, Tyrion.
Oh, Celeste!
Don't sneak up on me like that. Why are you so nervous? It's not as if this is your first time defending someone. I can't help it. There's something about this building that just fills me with anxiety. Ugh, it's too bad Ruby couldn't make it. I'd say that you should calm down for Wallace's sake, but there are so many people here. And they're all staring at me. Their eyes are prying into me like a pack of flesh-eating maggots. Gross. Don't worry, Wallace. Our investigation revealed a lot of weaknesses in the prosecution's case. We have a strong case for your acquittal. Okay. See, you can be confident when you want to be. It's strange. Something is calming about Wallace's anxiety. It's like he just absorbs the tension out of you and into himself. That's not a nice way to look at it, that poor boy. He is not there to calm you down. It's supposed to be the other way round. Court is now in session for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave. The prosecution is ready, Your Honour. The defence is also ready. Very well, let's begin the proceedings. Prosecutor Steelwind, could you please list the charges? The defendant is a student at the Wyvern Guard Imperial Academy. Mr. Nightgrave is charged with first-degree murder, negligent misuse of the arcane arts, and illegal practice of advanced necromancy. Necromancy? Do you mean to tell me that the defendant is a necromancer? I can't believe it. A necromancer in this day and age? How could the kingdom let this happen? Your Honour, I would like to remind the court that they should view my client objectively. Of course, but one can easily see it from the list of charges. Necromancy plays a large role in these charges. Indeed, the crime occurred within the academy this morning. The victim is Catherine Bellwether, a professor at the school. Although there were no witnesses, traces of necromancy were detected on the body. Furthermore, the autopsy report shows that the body has no physical wounds. I see. Necromancy is the only type of magic that can harm an individual without physically wounding them. Additionally, the alchemist report shows no sign of poison or disease. Therefore, one can only conclude that a necromancer had committed the crime. As many of you know, necromancy is held under high scrutiny by the Crown. Aside from the defendant, no other students were permitted to learn advanced necrotic magic. As such, the defendant was the only mage in that building capable of committing the murder. I see. That is certainly compelling evidence. I mean, it's certainly compelling conjecture, but it's not evidence. To properly present our case, the prosecution would like to call Commander Orem White to the stand. Commander White, please testify to the court about the Inquisition's findings. Yeah. It started when the City Watch got a call from the Imperial Academy. Someone was attacked and the whole building was put on lockdown. We set up a perimeter around the area and waited for the lockdown system to deactivate. When we finally got into the building, the prosecutor personally inspected the body and detected traces of necromancy on it. There were no cuts or bruises on the body either. The entire body was clean. With those two pieces of evidence, we concluded that it could only be the necromancer kid that did it. You're dumb as paint. The Inquisition's testimony is just as you expected. What was all that red below the body and under it? Tomato juice? You've already found and identified the holes in Steelwind's case. All you have to do is find that hole in the commander's testimony. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. I just want to have a look to see what I have. Right, there we go. So, blood stain under the body. Present the pool of blood.
Objection!
Commander White, it appears that you've neglected to mention one key detail of the crime scene. Yeah? And what's that? During your testimony, you said that the entire body was clean. I will admit that there weren't any wounds on the body. However, the body was certainly not clean. At the scene of the crime, there was a large pool of blood located where the body was. This blood came from the victim's body, and it was definitely not clean like the commander testified. I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but I fail to see the significance of this. I'm angry because any idiot can see the significance of this. Healing magic would mend all the wounds. The spell is mend wounds. I'd like to remind the court of the prosecution's case against my client. They are accusing him of murdering the victim using necrotic blight, a spell which would not have physically wounded the victim. So why was there any blood at all? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The fact still stands, there were no wounds on the body, nor were there any reports of poison or disease on the autopsy. There are clearly magical elements in this case. But Catherine Bellwether was bleeding profusely at some point. How else would there be a blood stain on the body? Do you have an explanation for that, Miss Steelwind? No, I'll admit that the prosecution doesn't have an explanation for that because the prosecution is occasionally dumb. And while I do find the circumstances questionable, all other evidence clearly points to the defendant. Which spell would leave a trace of necromancy? If the victim wasn't killed with necromancy, why was there a trace of it on the body? I'm glad you asked. I'd like to present a spell that could have left a trace of necromancy on the body. I need the compendium. Yeah, so... necromancy on her, someone cast a necromancy spell. Spells, there we go. So, mend wounds, necromancy, there we go. Mend wounds. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that a healing spell? That's correct, Your Honor. Spells from the School of Necromancy can control the forces of death and life. Mend wounds is in fact a necromancy spell. Really now? I wasn't aware of this. 'Cause you're dumb. Now, I'd like the court to consider the following. What would happen if Bellwether was wounded and someone attempted to heal her using mend wounds? All of her wounds would disappear from her body. I see.
Objection!
Do you honestly think I'm that incompetent, Mr. Cuthbert? Frankly, I'm a little insulted. What? The Inquisition is well aware of what happens when a mage attempts to save a victim using mend wounds. The healers that arrived at the scene already confirmed that the victim was long dead. None of them attempted to heal her. Well, what if someone tried to heal her and didn't report it? Please, none of the healers would have anything to gain by doing so. In fact, as a necromancer, the defendant could have easily carried out the described scenario. He could have cast mend wounds on the victim after murdering her to confound the investigation. At the end of the day, the burden of proof is on you. Innocent until proven guilty, but then again, everything in this universe is totally busted. But if you could just find out who healed the body, this case is yours. And whoever this healer is, Valentina definitely knows her. I'm going to say it's probably her sister. They both found the body. And her sister would just give her a quick cure on a burn. Or a cut, or whatever it was. Your Honour, I will admit that I don't have any evidence to support my theory. However, I do believe that we can bring it to light. There may have been two people that witnessed someone cast magic on the body. Valentina and Valerie Iannis, the sisters who discovered the body. This is nonsense. We've already questioned those two witnesses extensively. If they had witnessed something like that, it would have come up in their testimony. If that's true, then you have nothing to lose by hearing their testimonies. Eat it, Steelwind. Very well. If you're so confident, let's hear the witness's testimony. It seems the prosecution has no objections. I mean, if they did have objections, it would look sketch. However, if this line of questioning leads nowhere, I will see no reason to further prolong this trial. Do you understand, Mr. Cuthbert? Of course, Your Honor. She just got on the stand and she's already stressed out. This could work in your favor. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. My name? Witness, there's no need to be so nervous. We merely want to hear about what you saw on the day of the murder. Right. It's just that guy over there. You mean Mr. Cuthbert? Did this man harass you, witness? Wait a minute. Yeah. He, super harassed me. How shameful. I would expect a member of our justice system to behave more professionally. Oh, shut up. Anyways, please state your name and occupation for the court, Miss Iannis. My name is Valentina Iannis. I'm a member of the kitchen staff at the Wyvern Imperial Academy. As I recall, you were one of the witnesses who discovered the body. Apparently, the defence finds your involvement suspect. Rest assured, Miss Iannis, in this courtroom, you will be protected from Mr. Cuthbert's harassment. Ugh. Now please testify to the court on what happened that day. Yeah. I was walking with my sister in the West Wing when we noticed something in a nearby classroom. We looked over to see what it was. That's when we saw Miss Bellwether bleeding on the ground. My sister tried her best to help her, but the professor had already lost a lot of blood. While my sister did that, I used an emergency communication device to call for help. But it was too late. By the time her bleeding stopped, she'd already lost too much blood. If your theory is true, that means she just lied in her testimony. She's definitely holding something back. She definitely saw more than she's letting on. You just need to prove that somehow. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Oh, okay. I hate this bit. Noticed something. So, how did your sister try to help? She tried to help her. Miss Iannis, how exactly did your sister try to help Miss Bellwether? What? Oh, my sister used first aid to try and stop the bleeding. I see. Could you please add that detail to your testimony? Yeah, sure. Press this one. Did you notice anything else strange in the lecture hall? Well, there was that terrible smell. It was awful. I almost couldn't see because of how much I was tearing up. But other than that, I was mostly focused on the professor. It makes sense. It would be hard to notice anything else. Wound. Okay, so it's the wound. I needed the one specifically that said wound. No signs of cuts.
Objection!
There. I got the wrong bit. Witness, what is the meaning of this? What? Why are you looking at me like that? Maybe I can elaborate, Ms. Iannis. You weren't present in the gallery earlier, were you? No, I was waiting in the lobby. Lady Steelwind told me to wait there. Well, I suppose I should consider myself lucky. You see, Ms. Iannis, one key element of the case is that the body didn't have any wounds on it. Yeah, so? So, please explain to the court, Ms. Iannis, how did Valerie apply first aid when there shouldn't have been any wounds on the body? What? There's clearly something amiss here, but I'm afraid I don't fully understand the implications of this. Are you accusing the witness of committing perjury, Mr. Cuthbert? When someone lies, they stay as close to the truth as possible while changing minute details. In her thoughts, Valentina said that she was sure she saw a wound on Bellwether. And she also mentioned that Valerie was the one that tried to save the professor. If she didn't try to save Bellwether with first aid, could she have used magic instead? Yes! The simplest answer, dude, come on. Her sister could be the mage that you're looking for. The witness was lying, Your Honor, but not about everything. Valerie Iannis did try to save the victim's life by addressing her wounds. But she didn't use first aid, she used magic.
Objection!
I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but your theory is completely flawed. How so, Ms. Steelwind? Well, it's quite simple. We've already verified that neither of the sisters are mages. What? Wait, how can you be so sure? During the investigation, we had both the Iannis sisters attuned to a spell compendium. It's standard procedure for the Inquisition when interviewing witnesses. Then that means... That's correct. Neither of the Iannis sisters could attune to a compendium. Ha! That's right! The Inquisition checked us both! Neither of us are mages. Damn it. Were you wrong about Valerie being a mage? Then... No, that can't be right. Her thoughts said he found us out. That means you were on the right track. Valerie has to be the mage you're looking for. Celeste, is it possible for a mage to hold a spell compendium and avoid attuning to it? No, it just needs to be on their person. When I was arrested, the Inquisition also made me attune to one of their spell compendiums. They were really careful to make sure that I did the attunement correctly. There's no way a mage could avoid attuning to a compendium with them watching you. Right. Commander White may be negligent sometimes, but even he isn't that careless. They're identical twins. Did they swap? Now, if you're done, I do believe that you've exhausted all your options. Wait, I'm still not done cross-examining this witness. What could you possibly hope to glean from her testimony? Valentina should be stressed out enough to see more of her thoughts, but you can't exactly say that you're planning to read her mind. There's one key element of her testimony that the court is overlooking. Is it that she lied? I have a right, as an attorney, to complete my cross-examination. Your Honor, the defense is clearly trying to buy time. I might be compelled to agree with you. However, I'll also admit that some elements of the witness's testimony are quite peculiar. I will allow the defense to perform one more cross-examination. That was close. But know that this is your last chance, Mr. Cuthbert. If you produce nothing substantial, I will pass my verdict. You know what, at 80 you should be at home in your slippers because you clearly do not have the mental faculties for this job. Of course, Your Honor. All right, it's all or nothing. If you can't find anything by reading her mind, this whole case is finished. Witness, please give your testimony once more. Okay. Like I said, my sister and I saw Miss Bellwether bleeding on the ground. We rushed over to her. Now that you mention it, I don't know if I saw any wounds on her, but I definitely saw blood. My sister tried to save her, but she didn't use any magic. Neither of us is a mage. Both of us held that book the knights gave us. The commander was watching us the whole time. He can confirm it. See, twins, you swapped. What are we going to do? They have pretty hard proof that Valerie isn't a mage. Valerie is the mage we're looking for, I'm sure of it. I'm just not sure why they felt the need to lie to the Inquisition. And more importantly, how did they trick the Inquisition? They're identical twins, Tyrion!
Objection!
Miss Giannis, your thoughts betray you. What? You found the thought. They must have done something, but what? It must have happened when Commander White was interrogating them. Oren was the one who collected their statements. Did he notice anything off about their behavior? From what he said, they had a few quirks. They were running around and spinning in circles, but nothing too suspicious. Quirks? He told me they were running and spinning around him during questioning. What does that mean? I thought they were 7 years old. They were just swapping places. I have no idea. Perhaps they were still on edge after finding their co-worker murdered. Running and spinning. Her thoughts also said it's a good thing that we're twins. How did the twins trick the Inquisition? This means that their so-called trick wouldn't have worked if they weren't twins. Valentina switched places with Valerie. Yeah. Of course, they switched places. Valentina attuned to the first spell compendium. Then she pretended to be Valerie to attune to the second one. Commander White couldn't tell the difference between them. Ms. Giannis, there's something I want to confirm. During the investigation, both you and Valerie attuned to a spell compendium. Am I correct? Yeah, that night watched us do it. And how did he have you do this? Did you both attune to those compendiums at the same time? Or did you attune one after another? What? I fail to see how that makes any difference, Mr. Cuthbert. Yes, I agree. The spell compendiums would work regardless of what order they went in. You may not be aware of this, Your Honor, but Valentina and Valerie Giannis are identical twins, which means that their physical appearances are nearly identical to each other. If Commander White didn't have them attune at the same time, what would stop the twins from switching places with each other?
Objection!
Have them reattune. This is clearly nothing but baseless conjecture. Oren wouldn't fail at such a basic task. Really, Prosecutor Steelwind? Do you find it hard to believe that Commander White would fail at a task like this? Wait a minute, this is crazy! We didn't trick the Inquisition. My sister and I are not mages. Then prove it, Ms. Giannis. Bring in your sister and we'll have you attuned to 2 spell compendiums at the same time. No, wait! Order in the court. It's clear that we won't get anywhere unless we test the defence's theory. Bailiff, escort Valerie Giannis to the stand and bring 2 unattuned spell compendiums. They've both had their hands on those compendiums for the last 10 minutes. There's no way they can fake it in front of this many people. All right, it's the moment of truth. You can only hope that your theory is correct. No! Did he seriously? What is it, Prosecutor Steelwind? What do you see? I picked up that biscuit, I mopped it up, and I slapped it. What I see is Commander White seeking new employment in the near future. It appears that the defense was correct. Valentina Giannis isn't a mage, but Valerie Giannis is. What's more, Valerie Giannis' compendium contains the Mend Wound spell, which makes the defense's theory entirely plausible. Please, just allow me to explain. We should allow you to explain what exactly? You're an unregistered mage. And you and your sister have made fools out of all of us with your perjury. How would you know what it's like, Lady Steelwind? What? Did you think we didn't notice your name? You're not like us. You don't have to hide. Whatever, this whole situation has gotten out of hand. I didn't think hiding it would cause so much trouble. And I won't let someone go to prison because of me, even if he is a necromancer. Please, let me testify about what I saw. I'll tell you what really happened that day. Very well, but understand that there will be repercussions for your actions, witness. Yes, I know. My sister and I were walking in the hallway from the kitchen to the foyer. Then I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in a nearby classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. I saw that she was bleeding, so I cast Mend Wounds on her to close her wounds. But it was too late. I closed the hole in her stomach, but she was already dead. There was a hole in her stomach. Your Honour, as you can clearly see from the witness's testimony, the trace of necromancy was left by the witness, not my client. What's more, it's clear there was a physical wound on the body. I see. Well, his words trail off. He clearly doesn't want to pass a verdict when there's no clear culprit. But he has no choice. The case against Wallace is predicated on Bellwether being killed by necromancy. With Valerie's testimony, the prosecution doesn't have a shred of evidence implicating him. Very well. The court sees no reason to prolong this trial. With these new developments, the court has no choice but to find Wallace Nightgrave not...
Objection!
I believe the court is ignoring one key detail of the witness's testimony. And what would that be, Ms. Steelwind? Let's re-examine the witness's testimony. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. I saw that she was bleeding, so I cast Mend Wounds on her to close her wounds. But it was too late. I closed the hole in her stomach, but she was already dead. The communication device that Valentina Iannis used logs the time of day during each use. From this log, we know that Valentina used this device at 3:04 p.m. This was an hour after the time of death. Where are you going with this? Mr. Cuthbert, there was a witness who saw the victim before the body was found. Jan Hughes. He, along with another witness, spotted Bellwether walking in the hallways before the body was found. I was cleaning the halls. Bellwether knocked over a vase. There were shards and dirt everywhere. It was probably 20 to 30 minutes before the twins found the body. 20 to 30 minutes before the body was found. Do you see the discrepancy, Mr. Cuthbert? Wait, that can't be right. Bellwether died more than an hour before the body was found? So how did Jan see her half an hour after her death? I wonder, Mr. Cuthbert, how could one make a dead body move and walk around? No, you can't mean. There was more than one piece of evidence that pointed to a necromancer committing the crime. The defendant murdered the victim and used necromancy to animate her corpse. An undead, created within the Imperial Academy? How reprehensible! That's ridiculous! She had a hole in her stomach when the twins found her. Jan Hughes would have noticed that. Animate corpse stops the flow of blood, so she wouldn't have tracked blood anywhere. The defendant is also proficient with illusion magic. He could have easily used an illusion spell to hide the undead Bellwether's wounds. But another party could easily have used illusion magic to disguise themselves as the victim. If that were true, how did they move the body to the classroom? Miss Steelwind, if your theory is true, it would mean that the murder occurred elsewhere. Would the Inquisition happen to know where? Regrettably, we do not. Then the prosecution's case against my client is still faulty. You can't convict my client without more evidence. I agree with Mr. Cuthbert. With these new developments, the court sees it fit to suspend the trial for the time being. We will give law enforcement time to investigate these unknowns. Court proceedings for this case will resume tomorrow morning. Court is adjourned. Click. Hey, are you feeling okay? A body is seen moving around an hour after death. It clearly wasn't Bellwether, or at the very least, she wasn't alive when this happened. So what was it? Tyrion? There's illusion magic involved, there has to be. But which spell was it? Could it have been illusory disguise? Tyrion! Ugh, what? You've been quiet since the trial ended. You were making me worried. Sorry, I was just thinking about what Steelwind said. You mean about her theory? It's a little creepy when you think about it. Do you really think someone turned the professor into an undead? I don't think so. The prosecution's case is hinged on one clear fact: that Wallace was the only high-level necromancer nearby. We have to assume that he's the only person capable of using that type of magic. But then, how was she walking around? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's a given that Wallace didn't touch the body, so we can discount the use of high-level necromancy. No matter what, someone used an illusion. But aren't there spells that can create freestanding illusions, not just disguises? I honestly don't know. We'd need to talk to someone who knows about that type of magic. Oh, Eris! Wait, didn't Eris say that she was studying illusion magic? She might be able to tell us if something like that is possible. Is that really a good idea? What do you mean? What if she's the one who created the illusion? What? You're detecting fear from her again. Celeste, are you scared of Eris? What? No. I saw it this morning too. You always get really scared when she's around. Oh, I thought I was doing a better job of hiding it. Sorry, it's not based on anything real, but for years I've been working as a mercenary. When you do that kind of work, you build up an instinct to sense danger. You kind of have to if you want to stay alive. Sorry, I never knew. Tyrion, I fought literal monsters and barely escaped with my life. But when I'm near Eris, none of those creatures come even close. I get this feeling. It's like I'm in front of a predator that I couldn't ever hope to beat. Every instinct I have tells me to run whenever she's close by. Really? But she doesn't seem that dangerous. I know. I think maybe I'm just anxious or something. I should know better than anyone not to judge people by their appearance. Sorry, forget I said anything. If you think we should talk to her, then we should do that. You're not one to discount Celeste's instincts. She's always been reliable. And if Eris is making her scared, that must mean something. But if Eris really is that dangerous, then that's all the more reason to talk to her. But aside from that, there was also something else that the prosecutor said. Mr. Cuthbert, there was a witness who saw the victim before the body was found. Jan Hughes. He, along with another witness, spotted Bellwether walking in the hallways before the body was found. She said, along with another witness. That means there was another witness that saw Bellwether walking around. Right. Jan probably isn't the most reliable witness. So talking to that other person might help us figure out what happened. But do you think Steelwind will tell us who that witness was? At this point, we won't lose anything by trying. In any case, it looks like you have your work cut out for you. So, where should you start first? I would like to save. Alright guys, I think we'll leave it there for now. So we've come into the first part of the trial. We found a bunch of evidence that doesn't make sense. Honestly, I do think Eris has something to do with it. I still haven't gone back and watched any of episode 1, but I really, really think she has something to do with the creepy, glitchy dream girl. So we need to see this through. I think she is more powerful than she lets on, so I don't necessarily think that she is the murderer per se, but I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up being the murderer. Saying that, I don't know what's going on. I knew the rubbish with the twins was going to happen. I mean, that's fairly tropey. You get identical twins, they always switch places. There have been movies made about it. So that was pretty easy to see through, and it's infuriating that intelligent adults in this world don't see that. So that's frustrating for me. But beyond that, honestly, it's an interesting case. I look forward to coming back and investigating a bit more and seeing where it leads us in the end. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. And make sure that you ring that notification bell so you are kept up to date with everything that's happening here. Thank you so much for investigating with me today, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!